Good evening, and thank you once again for joining me. Tonight's message I've entitled, The Convincing Influencer. Have you ever wondered why you've gone through hardships and trials? Maybe you're going through something now. Why you've gone through pain and suffering? Maybe you're experiencing that now. If so, know that you're not alone. Someone has said, we are either going through a storm or just getting out of one. Why? Why go through these storms of life? Why go through these experiences, these hardships that we just don't understand? Let's face it, hardships are hard. Suffering hurts. Sometimes we may feel like we'll collapse underneath the heavy load of pain after pain. We may question God. Our faith may be shaken. We might wonder if God has forgotten us. Has He turned His back? Does He care? Why has He allowed me to go through this? Why does He permit this pain, this hardship, this trial, this tragedy, this evil? We think about His power, His omnipotence, being all powerful. And we think He could stop it if He chose to, but He hasn't. Thus, He must not care, or so we think. There's many challenges when it comes to supporting people. I do that there on a daily basis and during the week. That's what I do. I support people, and I found that there's many challenges when it comes to supporting people. And I'm discovering these things. It really is a complex process. One of the first things that I have noticed, and probably one of the most important, is you can't help anyone who is not willing to help themselves. Again, you can't help anyone who is not willing to help themselves. Until a person is at a crucial crossroads to change, to accept help, nothing, no thing that anyone does can get him or her there. It is a step that an individual must take. That willingness is the key that opens the door. This is why repentance is preached first. It is the response to the call to change. It is the knock at the door, and then the door is opened. This must happen first to proceed. If a person is unwilling and does not have the desire to change, nothing, no thing can be done. It is better to accept the fact and move on to someone we can help who is at that crucial moment. Discovery number one. We cannot help anyone who is unwilling to help themselves. Then the question could be asked, well, where does this desire to change, to receive help, come from? I would contest that it is a gift. In a word, grace. It appears to be a combination of grace and faith. As it says in Ephesians 2 verse 8, for it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. And this is not from yourselves. It is the gift of God. You see, grace and faith are producing the desire. They are the producing elements. We must not forget this. As James chapter 1 verse 3 and 4 states, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. So we see that we're given this grace and faith. It's a gift of God. And it's working in us. It's working and producing in our lives. And while we have them, our faith is tested. It's tested to produce perseverance, to produce our character. That is, to grow us. And get this, not only does faith produce perseverance, but so does suffering. Paul writes in Romans chapter 5, verse 3, "Let us glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope." So we see that there is a process. It's so easy to want to jump in the middle of the process and interrupt the process for someone. This process of change. It's so easy to want to jump in and get in the middle of the process, interrupt the process of change at the beginning. When we see someone suffering, going through some trial or hardship, we may feel the need to jump in and try to fix it. The need to alleviate their suffering. And by doing so, we could prolong the process, causing more harm than good. It is a complex process, a challenge, no doubt. We should be reminded of these two elements, that faith produces, and so does suffering. Each have an end goal in mind, that is growth. They are the building blocks of progress. Both could be seen as the means of grace to propel us forward. I can see them as both being important factors in my life to produce the change in me, moving me into the will of God for my life. You see, I needed both the faith and the pain, the suffering, to move me into the will of God. I needed the thunder and the rain. We must not forget that pain is a powerful motivator. And we must be reminded that both faith and suffering can be viewed as teachers. That is, they both play a role. They have a function in our lives to produce. One of the reasons why we are so taken back when suffering comes is due in part to its mystery. We have a desire to know its purpose, why it's there. We have a desire to discover its meaning, to learn the lesson, to see what lesson it is that we are to learn from it. And secondly, we have a desire for its completion, for it to finish, to complete its work, which we have discovered it's a process. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Perseverance, character, hope. Joseph is someone we read about in the Bible whose life is entangled with hardship. He is a gifted young man. He holds a special place in his father's heart and is gifted by his father. He's given an ornate robe to show his father's affection. He not only is gifted with a robe, but he is also gifted by God with revelation. God gifts Joseph with revelatory dreams, dreams of a bright future of ruling. But his gifts make the people around him uncomfortable. They perceive Joseph as a threat and seek to make his life unbearable. Joseph is hated for his gifts. He is mistreated and betrayed by those who are closest to him, his very own brothers. They have a desire to kill him, but instead they sell him into slavery, so at least then they could profit materially. They sell their brother for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites who took him to Egypt. And it appears that there's an exchange, that perhaps an exchange was made between the Ishmaelites and the Midianites. For in Genesis 37, verse 36, it says that the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. And this is where we pick up in Genesis chapter 39. Joseph is sold and bought, a slave betrayed by his own brothers, taken to Egypt and bought by an Egyptian by the name of Potiphar. In Genesis 39, verse 2, it says that the Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. Those are two words that appear to conflict. They are unlikely to go together. Prosperity and slavery, a prosperous slave. The text indicates that this prosperity, the success that Joseph had, is from the Lord. Let's read that together in Genesis 39, picking up in Genesis chapter 39, verse 3. It says, when his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. I want you to get that word, entrusted. Potiphar entrusted Joseph. He put his trust in Joseph. Joseph earned the trust of Potiphar. Notice in verse 3 that Potiphar saw that the Lord was with Joseph. He saw the Lord was with Joseph. Joseph is found to be trustworthy. He has character. He can be trusted. And so the master, Potiphar, trusts his servant, Joseph. Joseph not only is gifted, but he is one of impeccable character, trustworthy, honest, reliable. We see that he is distinguished and is looked at with favor in Potiphar's eyes. But Potiphar isn't the only one who has an eye on Joseph. Potiphar isn't the only one who has taken notice of Joseph. Potiphar's wife had also taken notice, and she desires to sleep with Joseph. But Joseph, distinguished in character, refuses her. Potiphar's wife is insulted at the refusal of her request, being denied the desire of her wants and wishes, and so she makes up a story and accuses Joseph of wrongdoing. She tells her husband Potiphar that Joseph tried to make an advance on her, which enrages Potiphar and has Joseph locked up in prison. Joseph has gone through hardship. First with the jealousy of his brothers over his gifts, which leads him to being betrayed and sold into slavery. And then with the arousal of Potiphar's wife over his physical attributes, leads to him being betrayed by her and locked up into prison. He has lost family. He has lost home. He has lost his freedom. All the while being innocent. And he finds himself in prison among the prisoners. And even though he is experiencing hardship, nevertheless, we read there in verse 20, while Joseph was there in prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. You see, character is an inside job. It's an inside job that manifests outward. It can be seen. It can be noticed. It can be picked up on. And it can't be taken away. We may be wrongly accused. There might be slander. All sorts of harsh words and harsh things might be said about us. But our integrity is something that we can keep. We can keep inside us, that stands firm. Our character speaks truth. Our character speaks volumes. Joseph had the Lord. Verse 21, it says again that the Lord was with him. Even while he was in prison, the Lord is with him. Even in slavery, the Lord is with him. Even in the jail cell, the Lord is with him. The Lord was there, and Joseph knew the truth. Can I encourage you today? Can I encourage you to continue to do the right thing? Continue to do the right thing. Though you might find yourself going through some hardship, going through some difficulty, continue to do the right thing for the right sake, for righteousness' sake. Continue to do the right thing. Say the right words in love. Someone says something negative to you, something harsh, you do the opposite. You say the right words in love. Continue to do the right thing. Treat people kindly and fairly. Let the Lord's presence with you and in you be the convincing influencer to shape the thoughts and opinions of others. Though people may do you wrong, continue to do right and be blessed. Our outsides don't determine our insides. I'll say that again. Our outsides don't determine our insides. And I hope that this message has been a blessing to you. And I do hope and pray that you have a blessed rest of your week. Until next time, bye-bye.